Hello everyone, and welcome to the Deepbluerenegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deeply Renegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 222. It is Saturday, March 17th, 2018, and I'm glad you could join me today. It is lightly raining. I actually shimmied everything in a little bit. But I'm sort of enjoying being outside in the rain. The shawl is about right. And it is, whatever, recording a lot later than usual, but thanks to daylight savings time, it's not terrible. Today was a pretty nice day. We ended up observing Pi Day a few days late. So there was pumpkin pie, we made apple pie, we made quiche. Actually, two different quiches. What would it be? It was all pretty good, so it was nice. It might be like a little floury still, but oh well, such is life. And just have to laugh a little bit about like all the on the round references. But yeah, no, today's been a pretty chill day. Whatever. Here. I have only worked on one project this week, and so I did have a chance to weigh this before the start of the episode. So I am working on the 10-stitch blanket, which is a Frankie Brown pattern. And I am now actually to the 1/3 mark this week, so I think last week I was at the quarter mark. So I have about half a strip to go, half a strip to go on the blue, or the dark blue, and then I guess I'm gonna motor my way down this edge next. But I think last week I was starting or working on the beginning of the light blue, and so I did an entire strip of the green variegated, and now I'm almost back around to the light blue again, so ish. You know how it goes. So I'm surprised sometimes, like, when I sit down and just, like, motor along on it, like, how quickly it goes, and other times it's like, oh my gosh. So, this is out of 3 different versions of Cascade Fingering Weight yarn. So, the dark blue is Heritage, the lighter blue is Heritage Silk, and then the greenish multicolored one is the Heritage Wave. So, still coming along. It looks like it might actually be able to, like, slightly wrap around a baby. Still a bit more to go. So it'll make a pretty big object when it's done. But that sort of resulted in this slight panic of, oh crap. I have 2 months to finish this, and so I guess it's not too terrible. I have 2 months to finish it. And in the last 3 weeks that I've been working on it, I'm now a third of the way through, so not terrible. I didn't end up working on my socks at all. Whatever, such is life. I think I'm gonna be putting a lot of focus on this one. I was talking, what was it? I definitely am feeling in the mood to knit a sweater, but understand that the time constraints are making that a little bit challenging. So, definitely making it a good bit more challenging. So I think if I just keep focusing on it, it'll go fine. But who knows? And honestly, who knows if I would like immediately cast on this yarn, because it is ready to go. So this is my Nest combo spin yarn. It is probably a 3-ply fingering, I would say. And I have 2 full bobbins at this point. So one of these bobbins involved my partial, and then I sort of alternated through my 3 big, very full bobbins. So I ended up using pretty close to the same amount for all of them. And then this guy here was, what was it? This one here was like all 3 of my big ones because I had used it up. So 2 of these guys, there, you guys can probably see things a little bit better if I hold them closer. So, all sorts of crazy colors. What it be? There are certainly some parts where I'm like, ah, it's so orange. But there's a bunch of other stuff going on there too. So, there are like purples and pinks and blues, and then some like later colors as well. But it is the case where I think most of the yarn was or the unifying thing was sort of oranges and purples, for whatever reason. So, coming along nicely, let me show you my singles. So this is where my singles are at right now, or here. You guys can probably see a little better if I hold it this way. So, this was the first one I spun, the second one, and then the third. It looks like based, if the center of the shaft is all the same, it looks like my second one's going to end up having the most. So if I have to scavenge a bobbin, I'll probably wind this one off first. And so right now I'm sort of in a peppermint green on one, I'm sort of in a pinkish orange on the other one, and then I sort of have this lavendery pink coming from here. So I just never really know what you're going to get at any given time. So all sorts of crazy colors. Some of, I think, the more challenging colors are in fact in very, very short runs. But because one of my fibers, the merino silk one, was predominantly orange, there are definitely places where, excuse me, it's all piling up on itself, so, oh well. At this point, since I'm 3-plying from 3 bobbins, it's a little challenging to break that one up. So this is what I have so far on the bobbin. So I have like one run, and now I'm sort of going back and filling it in again. So you can see all sorts of colors. Actually, this section's probably maybe a little bit darker than normal. But it does look like I will have to scavenge a bobbin from something in order to get everything making sense. But we'll see how far I end up getting. I don't think I'm going to finish up any of my bobbins in the near term, so it probably makes sense that when I fill that one up, that I should wind off one of my, probably my gray one. So then I will have the availability, like if I run out of one of them, then I can pull apply from that one. And if I run out of one, I'll probably end up stopping and also balling up the other one too, just so that I can sort of go by weight and make sure I'm taking equal amounts, if that makes any sense, so that I can get as much 3-ply as possible. Because as long as I have 2, where one of them's a ball and the other one's coming off of, well, maybe it'll just be the case where once I take off, I'll pick whichever one seems to be the least full and wind that off into a ball. So my thought process is that in order to manage it, because it isn't the case where, you know, at the end of the spinning you just like chain ply the leftovers. I'd like to get as much yardage as possible. So, though, I think I'll be okay. Like 20 ounces of figuring weight is fairly significant. Yeah. But we shall see. And maybe it turns out that my plan was a crazy plan. And that I needed 6 braids of fiber in order to knit a tunic. Who knows? So my plan is to knit the Still Light tunic by Vera Valimaki. So we'll see. I just have to be one with the spinning after all. It has been fun because things haven't been lining up in the cuts for what would be. So it'd be the case where every length the colors fade in and out. It'll be whatever, very subtle transition from color to color, hopefully. And so hopefully it looks nice. I know it's the case where I need to be knitting at home more in order to finish the stupid blanket, though. I also have to laugh a little bit because, what is it? My sister is due in April and I've done Oopsies. I was thinking of knitting like a 1-year-old size sweater instead. Or that was, because it turned out the newborn size sweater was just like way, way off. It was actually pretty hilarious. My niece found the sweater that I knit for her. I don't think it ever fit her, but she found it and like put it on and zipped it up. It was just, it was hilarious. Like it was like a super cropped t-shirt on her at this point. So I don't know if my future nephew will be like that. Who knows? So I'm not sure whether or not put the hurry up on or like do a plaquette or something like that. I suppose I am quickly running out of time. So, well, you definitely had the warning, but so I thought I had plenty of time, and now it's like, might have dug myself into a bit of a hole there. Oh, so, I think that's everything this week, though. Oh, wait, I do have something else. Don't worry about it. So another thing that I ended up doing at Knit Night last night was, make some stitch markers for the DFW Fiberfest. Because it's very enjoyable to make stitch markers. And so I bought this special beading wire that was super duper thin in order to use my turquoise, but I also made 2 with like the crazy blue beads. So I don't know how many I ended up making. So I have 2 with blue beads, one with like a light blue accent bead, another one with like a metallic one. And then, oh wait, I made 3. I put some turquoise on another one of my blue ball ones, and then I'm like, that isn't the contrast I was looking for, so I'm making 3, 6, 9, 12, 18. I ended up making 18 with these little brown heart beads, which I thought were super duper cute. So they sort of have like an Albuquerque look to them, which I think is pretty cool. Sorry, we're gonna go all the way in and focus. Maybe. Focus. There we go. So, I thought that was pretty cool. So, and I made sure all the hearts were pointing the right direction, and I'm pretty happy with them. So I got ridiculous number of beads, and so this has barely gone into them. I realized a couple important points. Way cheaper to get the crimps and crimp covers at a bead store. I ended up getting some extra ones at Joann's, and maybe I'll return them, or at least return some of them, because it's like, oh my gosh, it was just so much more expensive there, and not nearly as much variety. So there you go, better beads at a bead store. But it wasn't like convenient, and I was afraid I was going to run out. I didn't run out. Whatever. So, that wasn't too crazy. The other thing was that I ended up using a tool in my husband's stash. So he actually had a specialized tool for cutting brake lines on bicycles, because brake lines are made out of steel cable. That was totally the perfect tool for cutting beading wire. Because otherwise, what is it? You need a special, or whatever, you need a certain hardness of steel in order to cut steel. So, pro tip. And then I was just using some cheap pliers in order to put the clasps and crush the crimps and all of that other stuff. Another thing that has been inspiring me lately is, as a part of the Friends of Sock Knitters group, which is sort of like, we ended up putting the really, really chatty part of sock knitters into just a group, because there was more interest than just socks going on. And right now we're actually doing something called the Stash Smash, which just makes me think of the Hulk always. And because it is the Friends of Sock Knitters, everything is random and all over the place, and there's not very many rules. So, if you are feeling the stash guilt, which would it be? I just have to laugh at how many sweater quantities I had yarn for and patterns matched up for, and no time in this sweater. So, would be, I think that it ends up being like a really cool idea for just having like a year-long knit-along going on, which is just looking at being like, hey, this is the yarn I really like, let's actually make something with it, let's prioritize stash projects first. So, what would it be? So, like, something like this blanket, for example, would be like a perfect example of a stash mass project. So it would be the case where I already had the variegated, or the marl, and I had the dark blue, and all I needed was the skein of the light blue to turn it into like a nice big blanket, which I'm now filled with regret, but whatever. Just go around and around and around and around. So what would it be? Until 50 inches or defeat. I don't know, maybe you can't get, I'm not sure whether or not you can get that sort of square area out of it. I'm sure we could like do some sort of, like if I measure it and like try to estimate, or if I measure it after I get through a full color progression or something. I don't know, whatever. Such is life. So a project like that is a super duper example of like, hey, I can totally use this stash yarn, I just need like a little bit extra, and then you get a little bit extra, and then you can make a beautiful thing. So I thought that was a very interesting concept. It was actually something Karen came up with, and I'll probably play along. So if you guys are also interested in that, then I would recommend heading over there. Like, what would it be? I have come to the realization that it can sometimes be a little too quiet to run CALs in my group, so what would it be? But I'm happy to let you guys know about cool CALs I'm participating in elsewhere. So there's that. I should be able to record next week, so what is it? Today's the 17th, so that would make that the 24th or the 25th. We'll see which way it goes. What'd it be? I might be having a soul sucking next weekend, so. It's the homework schedule, it's the last homework, so it'll be okay. It'll be just fine, I just have to laugh about it a little bit now. I think that's everything. It's a pretty short episode this week, but hopefully you're enjoying the sound of rain. Obviously no thunder. It's super duper nice because it is spring in Texas. What would be aside from the sniffliness, but it's pretty much allergy hell year round here, so whatever. No. Oh well. So with that, I hope you guys have a lovely week, and I look forward to talking to you guys next week. So take care, guys. Bye-bye.